immediately after Yorgos Papandreou start signing the different memoranda and appeal to the Greek people saying that we are going to sign this memorandum and we are going to enter to IMF, Central Bank and Brussels and European Union construction in order to get money to pay our debts. Till that moment, the things with PASOK were not so bad. But from this moment and then, many people that they used to be in PASOK, among them me also, most of these members of parliament, deputies, went in Syriza and they tried to negotiate a new party. And that's what we did. We negotiated and we formed not a party as it used to be PASOK, but a radical left party. We were in the streets. We were always in the streets. We were always with social movement. We were always in the anti-fascistic front. We were always in the different, let's say, movements that help the poor, the homosexuals. I don't know, we were behind and inside all the movements in Greece. Syriza was always there. So that was one of the powers that Syriza had in order to jump to 27%. But the main power was the governing proposal. During the last year, we have many people that you can see them, something that it was incredible for Greece, going around to the trash, trying to find in the rubbish something to eat. And nowadays there are many organizations that they try to stay by the people, give them food, and more than 300,000 portions of food are given every day to people that they don't have anymore the capacity to buy their everyday food. On the top of that, you have to know that we have more or less about 5,000 suicides during the last 3 years. We have more than 500,000 people that they work today and they are getting their salary for 3 or 4 months before. Can you imagine that the situation is getting worse and worse, and the day-by-day life of the Greeks is worsening, is getting worse and worse, is deteriorating every day. First thing that we have to do is to give a pump of money, give the opportunity to increase. We are going to increase immediately the basic salary from there that is now, it is now by law of Troika, to the previous situation. I mean, this is going to be something that is going to start giving some money to some people, and this is going to put a little bit of oil in the engine of economy that nowadays is really dead. Everybody knows that this debt, it is impossible to be served. Impossible. Even if all the Greeks were dead on the streets, with no salary, no pension, no nothing, this debt cannot be paid. So, why they insist in paying? We live in a Europe that very easily we can call it Europe of the bankers. So it's obvious that we don't believe in this system that exists in this moment. The money that they give us every 3 or 4 months are money that are given directly. They don't pass from the Greek state. The Greek state is paying the interest. That's why I tell you that this debt cannot be serviced. This money passed from the Greek state. We pay the interest for them. Some countries are getting a lot of money, and they are getting richer and richer, as Germany and other countries, out of our debt in this moment. And immediately they take the money, and the money is going to the lenders. Among this money, they are ready to send money, and now they have already done it, not the whole amount, but more or less half of the amount. The rest is coming, to give 50 billion to the banks in order to balance their capital. If we are going to still have all these multinationals going around and working in the way that they work now, together with the central bank, against the people, against the states, there is no way out. So I think that we have to go for a very basic, essential, big change of the banking system in Europe. We are going to have more victims, more suicides, more people on the streets. And you are going to see that the same is going to start to happen here in Spain also. It starts happening in Portugal. It's going to start happening in Italy. And you see what are the reactions of the people. How you are going to do that? From the moment that the lenders, the money lenders, they forbid that. They want their money back. So that's what we say, is that we are not going to recognize the whole debt. Because we believe that the majority of this debt is a product of corruption, a product of bribery to very certain people. We have paid the Olympic Games 10 times as it costed. So you can realize that for us it is impossible to pay back the whole debt. So the solution on that is that we are going to negotiate with Germany and with the other countries the height of debt. And that's what is going to remain. We have to connect it with a development clause. A development clause exactly the same as Germany did in '53, after the war. And that was the way that Germany gave back the money. With development, money to develop their economy, and every year, according to the development, 5%, 3%, 6%, they pay back the installments of the debt that had to the other countries of Europe. So that's what we are going to do. We are going to ask the same thing, to pay back the debt with clause of development. The corruption and the bribery and the corruption in generally, it was very vivid in Greece and still is. In Greece we used to have a public sector that was a kind of client. The public sector, it was a client of the political system, of the two parties. During the last 40 years, the public sector, it was working as a public sector, but not for public. It was working as a public sector for private. The government tried to vanish the public sector, try to sell the public sector, try to say that the public, the civil servants are all corrupted. This is not the problem. The problem is that all these sectors were in the service of private interests, of very specific interests. So this is something that we want to change. And we speak for another public sector, a public sector to the service of the people and not to the service of the interests. If we want really to change things in Greece, we should have a government that has as nuclear to have the radical left. If we are not going to be a government with our ideas, with our program, can you imagine that very easy we can start changing, looking differently at the things. But now the Greek society, we think and we are sure that needs our program, needs that what we bring. So even if the whole system is working against us, with the television, with the media, with the newspapers, with the enterprises, with Mrs. Merkel, with Europe, we can have an absolute majority in the parliament. And then I think that is going to be the signal for all European countries, for all European left. In Greece, every day at 8 o'clock at night, when the major channels, they have their broadcast, we have an attack of fear to everybody. It's very simple, the message. The message is that, well, we know that we have done a lot to you. We know that we have taken a lot of you, but be quiet because we are going to take everything from you. This is the message. It's very simple, and the fear, it's one of the major powers that exist in the Greek people now. But we say that we have to terrorize the terrorists. This is the message. That we have to terrorize these people, that they try to terrorize the people. The homosexuals, I don't know, we were behind and inside all the movements in Greece. Syriza was always there. So that was one of the powers that Syriza had in order to jump to 27%. But the main power was the governing proposal. Not a party as it used to be PASOK, but a radical left party. We were in the streets. We were always in the streets. We were always with social movement. We were always in the anti-fascistic front. We were always in the different let's say, movements that help the poor in order to get money to pay our debts. Till that moment, the things with PASOK were not so bad. But from this moment and then, many people that they used to be in PASOK, among them me also, most of these members of parliament, deputies, went in Syriza and they try to negotiate a new party. And that's what we did. We negotiate and we form. Immediately after Giorgos Papandreou start signing the different memoranda and appeal to the Greek people saying that we are going to sign this memorandum and we are going to enter to IMF, Central Bank and Brussels and European Union construction